Western Illinois here in town, and a homecoming game. And they come in, off a tough loss against Missouri State. I think Missouri State's a lot better than their record indicates. If you watched them on film, you'd see that. But Western Illinois was a game last year. It was one of our heartbreakers that we had. Came down to the last few minutes of the ball game there, and doing a lot of the similar things they did last year on defense. They kind of run a version of a bear defense, basically, based out of a three-man front. Earlier in the year, they were running some four-man front stuff, but they're basing out of a three-man front there, and they have what they call a leather neck. And he's the guy that makes a lot of their tackles, and he's the guy that kind of roams the field. So he's a guy that we have to keep eyes on at all times and know where he's at. Offensively, they got really a talented group of receivers. I see three receivers. A lot of people talk about Crump, but I think there's really three to four, but really three receivers there that can flat out play. They can run well, they run good routes, they catch a lot of balls, and you're going to have to keep eyes on those guys at all times. And then you got the running back Ray, who's a big back there that they try to give the ball to with some zone stuff and some different things. Earlier in the year they were doing some quarterback run game, and you got to always be prepared for all those type of things as far as quarterback run game, zone read, and they also have the ability to get in some two-back stuff and run some lead zone plays and some stuff like that. So it'll be a good challenge for us this week. They're very well coached, and they'll come in here and they'll have confidence, obviously, from last year that they can play with us.
It's a challenge, Coach, but your guys come in with a lot of confidence based on what they were able to do last week. But they come in, and a lot of people were able to contribute. What momentum can you bring into this game back into conference play?
Well, we are back in conference play, and the way the schedule sets right now is this is a game that we have here at home, and we need to go out and execute and do the things that we're coached to do. Come out with great focus, have the self-discipline, eliminate some of the foolish penalties that reared their head a little bit last week, and play Youngstown State football. You can have confidence, but we haven't had any sense of accomplishment where we should be an overconfident group by any sense of the imagination.
They lost their best defensive player, their quarterback. How much of a change do you think that are they from last year?
Well, the quarterback that they had last year was obviously a special player and did a lot of great things. What I see is they're doing a lot of the same things that they did last year. I just think they're getting a little more and more comfortable with what they're asking their guys to do. That comes with experience. They got some new guys. Anytime you have a new trigger man in there, I think there's a process that takes place, and they're going through that process.
Eric, how do you prevent your team from not looking past this game with the two big ones coming up?
We can't look past anybody, We haven't accomplished anything where we can start looking past people. We see it every week in college football. A team maybe is expected to win, or double-digit favorite goes out and doesn't play well, and we're not at that stage. We can't look past a single team we play. All the teams we play are very capable of beating us. At the same time, we're very capable of beating them too. So it's a matter of what we do. You heard me say it last week. Really, Southern Illinois too. It's about what we do. I think we're in the ball game now, talent-wise, to some extent, and we just need to go out and play like we're capable.
Their defense has struggled. 106 out of 121 teams. Has it just been that teams have been able to push them around, or just better?
Well, specifically by game, it's a couple of different things. I see them. They went through a change defensively. I see them against certain teams running a four-man front, and then another teams, they run a three-man front. So those are schematically somewhat, two different things. But I think they've gotten back to running their leather neck style of defense, which is a three-man front there, and that's what we probably expect to see. But I think like in any game we've seen all year, We expect the unexpected, meaning we practice against every front every week, because there's been several games where we went out and teams have completely ran something different than we expected them to do. So I just think you have to be prepared for everything.
Coach, are you pleased with your guys' focus? Obviously, every week we talk about going 1-0, 1-0, but the players, are you pleased with their focus?
We're getting there. Well, last week we had a good week of practice. You know, Tuesday's a big day for me. Seeing what kind of focus we have. You know, we changed our schedule up a little bit on Mondays, trying to do some things different than we were doing earlier in the year. But today's a work day, and we're in full pads, and we're going to be out there a while. We're going to get some things done, look at some different things. What we like, we keep in. What we dislike, we throw out. After tonight's meeting, we'll have a sit down, and and as a staff, we go through offensively and defensively what we're going to keep in the game plan, what we're going to get out. But Tuesday's a good work day for us, and sometimes when you go out on Tuesdays and you know that it's going to be a hard practice, you'll have some guys that maybe sit around and know that it's going to be hard and don't have their mind right. So we've been really focusing from 2:30 on when we start meeting about getting these guys' attention, getting them to eliminate the distractions that they have, problems they have at home, school, tests, and just give us your undivided attention for a little while so we can get better. Because if we have a good practice today, we'll be able to make some definite decisions about tomorrow. If we go out there today and a couple of guys maybe weren't giving great effort, then we may have to actually run that play again tomorrow, which takes away from what we really want to be doing with some additional third down and red zone work. So it's just a time thing. And in order for us to, gradually cut back during the course of the week, you have to have a good day today so you can start cutting back on Wednesday and Thursday, and then start to build back up Friday to peak on Saturday. So I think they finally learned why Tuesdays are so important. But we'll get them ready to go. I'm sure that if not, we'll run a little bit.
Coach, you said this is a building process, but to show some growth, is this a critical stretch to get some wins to prove to yourself and to the kids that you guys are taking the steps forward you need to be?
Well, I think the thing is we're a season and a half into this thing, and when I took this job over, I said it was going to be a process, and sometimes they're easier than you think, sometimes they're harder than you think, but we've progressed, and I think we're headed in the right direction. I think the next 4 games, though, can be significant, because I think there is a confidence in our team, knowing that every one of these teams that we're getting ready to play, we played with last year. We were with them till Missouri State, we jumped out 17-0 on them. That's the last game of the year there. But other than that, we can play with these football teams, home or away. It's just a matter of what we do. And we can't look at it anything more than that. I can't worry about the end of the month, what's going to happen in November. I mean, right now all that matters is at 2:30 being able to dial in and take some of these new concepts and new plays that we're going to instill and go out and execute them at a high level, so we can make decisions to have a good practice on Wednesday, and then go find a way to win. I mean, that's what you have to do in this game, is you got to find a way to win. There's so much parity in this league, up and down. Some of the leagues I've coached in the past, there's an upper echelon, and then there's another group. You can look at this league across the board and say that there is a lot of parity, and that's a compliment to the coaches, the programs, the commitment by them, and that's what you have to deal with.
Coach, I'm going to preface this, may be a stupid question. I know the goal is touchdowns, but are you concerned you haven't connected on the field goal 7 games in?
I don't care if we kick 1 field goal. So touchdowns are the name of the game. If we have to kick a field goal, I'm sure we will at some point. But I mean, there's a reason why I work on red zone for the last year and a half. You get what you emphasize, and I think you guys have all learned in kindergarten that 7 has greater value than 3. You know what I mean? And that will never change. I'm a touchdown guy, and I mean, that's just the way it is, and that's the way it'll always be. 7 is greater than 3. So, a little math today.
You mentioned parity, but it seems like this year, unlike last year, there's two teams that have kind of stood out. I mean, have you?
I think they've, and they do, and they have stood up. But, I think you look at Southern Illinois, who played Northern Iowa very tough last week at Northern Iowa. So, I mean, are they, I don't know. I think that's probably closer than the odds makers would maybe make it out to be. So I think there is parity. I think maybe because you get a lot of accolades and preseason rankings, et cetera, but I think there is parity if you look at the game and digest it and take it down to really what happens at the end of these games and how close they really are.
They've given up a lot of sacks. Do you feel you can get to the quarterback?
I think anytime you play anybody, it's about getting pressure on the quarterback. You look at the Southern Illinois game, we were able to get pressure on the quarterback. It makes a difference in the game. Other games, we were not able to get pressure on the quarterback, and I think you can see the result of that. It'll always start up front, whether it's offensive line and defensive line. You've got to control the line of scrimmage, and that's something that I felt like since I've been here a season and a half that we have improved is on the line of scrimmage, and we have to continue to improve. Because I felt like probably that was one of the most glaring things that when I took over the program we had graduated a lot of players off of the defensive line that was on the previous staff's team. And those guys were good football players. They were disruptive. So we had a bunch of new guys in there, and then on the offensive line, we just needed to physically mature and lift weights and eat and do the things you need to do to be an offensive lineman, so that way you can match up with some of the defensive lines in this league. There's some good defensive linemen that, across the board, really on every team, they got some good defensive linemen.
Coach, is this fun? Is this exciting at this stage of the season to be talking about standings and making a move and making a push late? Is that exciting for you in just the second year?
Well, I think it's good for our program. I think it's good to know that you control your own destiny. You say you want it. Let's see how bad you want it. And we're a scrappy bunch. We're going to compete and go out there and take a swing at it. And I feel good about where we're going. Other than that, it's just a process that you go through, and I think it bodes well for the future.
Eric, how do you feel about the development of your three freshmen starting linebackers?
Well, linebackers, I've really seen them, specifically Travis Williams. I saw him take a step forward last week. You got to realize he was a receiver in high school. So all of a sudden now, your first experience playing in college football, you're playing linebacker. So I seen him make some plays and do some things that we expected him to. We don't treat him like a freshman, and we never will. We're not going to have any built-in excuses for not playing at a high level. So Tevin Williams has some more natural instincts because he played it in high school. Davion Rogers, here's a guy that hasn't played really football in 2 years. He hasn't played football in 2 years, and now he's finally getting into his groove. So, like I said, it bodes well for the future.